first entry is plant and machinery. So when we discuss the format, plant and machinery is not appearing either in the trading account or the profit and loss account. It comes directly in the balance sheet because this is an asset for the business. And definition of asset is any uh, thing that is helping the firm in earning revenue in the coming years. So they are wealth creation tools which are used by the firm. So plant and machinery directly goes to the balance sheet. We move to the next entry, opening stock. Opening stock comes on the debit side of the trading account. So here I write to opening stock and the amount is 35,000. Okay. Make sure you keep a pencil handy with you when you are solving questions like this so that you can strike off each entry which you have entered in the account. Okay, so you should be very clear that you are not missing out on any of the entries. Okay, after that, purchases. Purchases again relate to purchases of goods, purchases of raw material, and hence they come on the debit side of the trading account. But when we are solving, we should check on the credit side whether there is some return outward. Okay, because return outward is your purchase return, which needs to be adjusted from the amount of purchases. So in the inner column, I write two purchases. The amount is 75,000 minus return, which is 2,000, and I get my final amount as 73,000. Okay, so always check that with respect to purchases and sales on the opposite side of the trial balance, whether you have some return outward or return inward. Okay, next is you can see return inward. Now, return inwards are your sales return, and we will adjust it in the amount of sales when we move to the credit side of the trading account. After that, land and building. Land and building again is an asset for the business. It is a wealth creation tool for the business which will give it benefit for a period more than 1 year. तो ये सब जो ऐसे assets होते हैं ये आपकी balance sheet में जाते हैं. So here also for convenience purpose, I am writing balance sheet so that when we are solving, when we are preparing the balance sheet, we know which entries need to be put in there. Okay, after that you have carriage inwards. Now carriage inwards is a direct expense. So we take it to the trading account to carriage inwards and the amount will be 1500. Next, carriage outwards. Carriage outwards is post the sales, movement of the goods from the factory to the customer, indirect expense in the profit and loss account. The first entry I make is carriage outwards with an amount of 3500. Okay. If there's any question in between, you can ask. After that, wages. Wages again are direct expenses. So two wages, the amount being 25,000. Sundry debtors is the next entry. Debtors are those who owe money to the business. So debtors are treated as assets for the business. Hence they come in the balance sheet. Those people, those parties which have something to pay to our business, who owe something to our business, are assets and known as debtors for the business. Okay, next is coal and coke. So where is coal used? Can anyone tell me? Coal and coke, where will they be used?
In factories.
In factories in the production process. Okay. So coal and coke again will be a direct expense for the business. And so I put it on the debit side of the trading account. So this amount is 3,500. Okay. After that, bad debts. Bad debts are debtors who have defaulted in payment. It is related to सेल्स जो आपने क्रेडिट सेल्स करी उस पर जो डिफॉल्ट हुआ है दैट विल बी एन इनडायरेक्ट एक्सपेंस फॉर द बिजनेस एंड हेंस विल कम ऑन द debit side of the P&L account, amount being 1,500. Okay, after that, the next entry is gas and water. Gas and water will again be a direct expense related to production. So I write it on the debit side of my trading account, 350 rupees. Okay. After that, furniture and fixture, furniture asset for the business come in balance sheet. Advertisement. Advertisement is used for marketing or promotion of the business, promotion of the goods, indirect expense to advertisement, and here I put 5,000 rupees. Then rent, rates and taxes. Now rent, rates and taxes, if nothing mentioned, we assume it to be an indirect expense and I write it on the debit side to rent, rates and taxes 13,500. If there is any doubt till here, please ask.
Ma'am, wages will be in direct expense.
Yes, wages is for labor which is employed in factory and hence it is a direct expense. जो डेली बेसिस पे लेबर एम्प्लॉय होती है उसको वेजेस पे करी जाती है ठीक है जो हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं दिहाड़ी जो वर्कर्स होते हैं उनको वेजेस पे करी जाती है so that is related to production and hence is a direct expense.
So ma'am, it will be included in trading account.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, then class post that you have bills receivable. Now, bills receivable are given by debtors. This is an undertaking that they will be making the payment on so and so date. तो ये भी बिजनेस के लिए डेटर्स की ही तरह एसेट होते हैं क्योंकि बिल्स रिसीवेबल ये प्रूफ होता है कि सामने वाली पार्टी आने वाले फ्यूचर में हमें पेमेंट करेगी. So we will be generating money from bills receivable. Hence, they are an asset and they will come in the balance sheet of the business. Okay. After that, salaries. Now, while wages are paid to daily workers, they are paid on daily basis to blue collared workers. Salaries are paid to skilled staff, to white collared workers on monthly basis. So salaries are per se your indirect expense and hence I'm just continuing this format here. So they will come on the debit side of the P&L account and here I write to salaries. Just let me go back, I'll see the amount. The amount of salaries is 16,000. So I write 16,000 here. Okay, so be very clear: wages, trading account, salaries, P&L account. Okay, moving back. Now, after that, you have drawings. Now, drawings, any money or asset withdrawn by the owner for personal use is known as drawings. So, something which is taken for personal use is not related to the business and is adjusted accordingly. The treatment for drawings is that we reduce the amount of capital by the amount of drawings. मतलब कैपिटल क्या होता है? ओनर्स जो पैसा लाते हैं इन दी बिजनेस जनरली एट द स्टार्टिंग ऑफ द बिजनेस. तो अगर ओनर अपने पर्सनल पर्पस के लिए कुछ पैसा विड्रॉ करेगा तो कैपिटल बिजनेस में रिड्यूस हो जाएगा. Hence, this will also be adjusted in the balance sheet. Okay, so for the time being, we'll ignore the balance sheet items. We are focusing on direct and indirect expenses, but drawings are deducted from the amount of capital. Next is trading expenses. Now, trading expenses, again, trade karna, buy from one party, sell to the other party. There's any expenditure in this, then that will come in the P&L account. So I write down to trading expenses, and the amount was how much? 12,000. Yes, it was 12,000. So I write down 12,000 here. Okay, in the P&L account, trading expenses 12,000. After that, cash in hand, cash at bank. Both are assets for the business. They can be used for production purposes. So this will come in the balance sheet. Okay. So we have completed the debit side. We have put in the entries in trading and P&L, and we know which entries will come in the balance sheet. We move to the credit side. क्रेडिट साइड में सबसे पहली एंट्री सेल्स की है. So I start with buy sales. Amount is 2,50,000. So less return. Return आपका इनवर्ड है 2,800. So this becomes 2,222 and 0,000. 2,22,800 will be the net amount of sales. No, it will be
Ma'am,
triple
is it
times.
2800?
हाँ जी बेटा.
Ma'am, it is 2800 or 28,000?
2,800 है बेटा. तो ये हो जाएगी 2,22,200. Yes,
Ma'am, 2,48,200.
2,48,000. Sorry. Okay. Wait. 2,47,200.
Ma'am, 2,47,000.
7,200. Yes. This is the correct value. 2,47,200 will be the net amount of sales. Okay. After that, return outwards we have already adjusted. Now bills payable. Bills payable is an acknowledgement from the business that we will be paying some amount to an outsider at so and so date. So it becomes a liability for the business. Amount which we will be paying to an outsider at so and so date. Okay. I think there was some network issue. I'll just present the screen again. Is the screen visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so we get the amount of 2,47,200 for sales. Bills payable, I told you, is a liability because the business has to pay this amount to an outsider. Similarly, creditors are also liability. लाइबिलिटी इन दी सेंस क्रेडिटर्स वो पार्टीज होते हैं जिनसे हम क्रेडिट बेसिस पे परचेज करके आते हैं तो अब बिजनेस की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है टू मेक दिस पेमेंट इन द फ्यूचर so it is a liability and hence appears in the balance sheet. Capital amount brought in by the owners at the start of the business, also a liability, will come in the balance sheet. And last entry is discount received. Now, discount has been received by the business, so it is an income, a gain for the business. Indirect income, so by discount received, I write on the credit side of the P&L account, and this amount becomes rupees 500. Okay. Now what we see is कि आपके क्वेश्चन में जितनी भी वैल्यूज थी they all come at one place. Okay. All the entries which were in this trial balance, they all have appeared at one place. Outside the trial balance, if any information is given, it will come at two places. So in final accounts, remember this rule. All the information in the trial balance will come at one place in the solution, but information given outside the question, any additional information appears at two places. In additional information, we are given that the closing stock was rupees 10,000. So this means this 10,000 will appear at two places. सबसे पहले आपको पता है कि ट्रेडिंग अकाउंट में आएगा बाय क्लोजिंग स्टॉक and the amount will be 10,000. The second place where closing stock comes is the balance sheet because closing stock of this year will be opening stock of the next year. So this is an asset for the business. So the closing stock will also appear in the balance sheet. So after this, the we have put in all the entries. Now we need to balance the accounts. So let's start with the trading account. Please total both the sides, the debit and the credit side, and see which is higher of the two. I think credit side ज़्यादा है. 2,57,200. Yes. So Tanmay, you're giving me the total of the debit side or the balancing figure?
मैम डेबिट एंड क्रेडिट साइड
अच्छा टोटल दिया है ना तो आप मुझे डिफरेंस बता दो वो हमारा ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट हो जाएगा फिर
118,850
11850 11,850
8,850
88 11,850 yes rest of you also check this will be to gross profit transferred to P&L account. Why is someone trying to enter in so late? Okay, so to gross profit transferred to P&L account 111850, and the total of both the sides becomes 257,200. Please check everyone. Are you getting the same answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So which means we transfer this amount here in the P&L account and you write it here by gross profit transferred from trading account. Just write this figure on the top here. Okay, now by gross profit transferred from trading account, that will be the complete sentence. I'm writing it here because there is shortage of space there. So you write like this: by gross profit transferred okay. Now the next step is to balance this account, the P&L account. So please do the same thing, total up both the sides and let me know how much is the value coming to. Again, you will have net profit here. So 51500. This makes the amount of net profit 6. And you're giving the 850. Is this the answer coming? Just check once. You can use the calculator here. Yes. So you're getting your net profit as 67850. Class, any doubt, any question in this? Just complete it. This is a simple question on final accounts. There are no adjustments. You just need to memorize the format and put in the entries. Complete the question fast. Okay, I hope this is clear to everyone. Put a
Yes,
yes or no in the chat box. If there's any doubt, please ask. Otherwise, we move to the last element. I'll explain you the balance sheet and then we can complete this question also. Okay. So we move to the balance sheet then. Okay. So class, please pay attention. Balance sheet shows you the financial position of the business on a particular date, okay, which is generally the end of the financial year, that is 31st March. Balance sheet will tell you these three main values. What is the capital in the business, that is amount or assets brought in by the owner. Then assets are things of value owned by the business. Liabilities, the amount which the business owes to the outsiders. So it is a statement, it is a financial statement, and it does not use terms like to and buy. तो टू और बाय अभी आपने सिर्फ ट्रेडिंग और पीएनएल अकाउंट में यूज करना है. बैलेंस शीट में हम डायरेक्टली एसेट्स और लाइबिलिटीज लिख देते हैं. The format is like this. On the left hand side, you have the liabilities, and on the right hand side, you have the assets. And when we are solving questions on final accounts, you can check your answer here itself. Both these sides should have the same total. Once both these sides tally, you know that you have attempted the question correctly. So let's move to the liability side. Liability side में पहली liability होती है capital जो owner लाया है business में. After that, any loan taken by the business is also a liability for the business. Any current liability. So when we talk about liabilities, I'm just repeating this. You have long term and you have short term, which are known as current liabilities. लॉन्ग टर्म होती है जिसकी पेमेंट आप करने के लिए आपको यू गेट अ टाइम पीरियड ऑफ मोर देन 1 year. बट शॉर्ट टर्म लाइबिलिटीज आर टू बी रीपेड इन अ पीरियड लेस देन 1 year. तो उसमें आपका क्या क्या आता है, उसमें आपका आता है आउटस्टैंडिंग एक्सपेंसेस, एनी एक्सपेंसेस विच आर ड्यू बट हैव नॉट बीन पेड. तो सैलरीज स्टाफ की ड्यू है, शटडाउन हो गया, लॉकडाउन हो गया, आप अभी तक सैलरीज पे नहीं कर पाए हो, ये आपके बिजनेस के लिए लाइबिलिटी है एंड दैट नीड्स टू बी पेड इन द इमीडिएट फ्यूचर. So it is a current liability. Second example taken here is bank overdraft. Overdraft is when you withdraw more than your account balance. Okay, so that is also a liability. Generally current account में facility दी जाती है overdraft की, जहां पर कस्टमर अपने बैंक बैलेंस से ज्यादा अमाउंट विड्रॉ कर सकता है. तो ये शॉर्ट टर्म बेसिस पे दी जाती है फैसिलिटी, hence it is a current liability for the business. And third is accounts payable. Accounts payable में दो चीजें आती हैं, creditors plus bills payable. Okay, so creditors and bills payable both are short term liabilities for the business. Whenever we'll have more liabilities, I'll explain you the terms there when preparing the balance sheet. On the asset side, first you have all the fixed assets. So assets are also categorized on basis of time. So you have fixed assets, which are your long-term assets, and then you have your current assets. which are your short-term assets. Again, the time period is on 1 year basis. You are classifying them on this time basis. So fixed assets are for a time period more than 1 year. Current assets for a time period less than 1 year. Land, building, plant, machinery, furniture, fixtures, these all are fixed assets. पहले ये लिखते हैं, उसके बाद हम current assets लिखते हैं. Current assets में आपका cash, bank balance, accounts receivable, which is basically debtors and bills receivable, and stock or inventory, which is your closing stock. So once you put in all these items in the balance sheet, the total of both sides should tally. So what we do now is, in the question which we were solving, we'll prepare the balance sheet and quickly tally whether we have solved the question correctly or not. In the format, if there's any question you can ask.
Ma'am, we don't have to go to and buy here.
No, no, that is not done. ओके, बिकॉज जो ट्रेडिंग अकाउंट था, पीएनएल अकाउंट था, वो प्रॉपर आपके अकाउंट्स थे और आपकी बैलेंस शीट स्टेटमेंट होती है, तो स्टेटमेंट में टू और बाय यूज नहीं होता.
Okay, ma'am.
एनी अदर क्वेश्चन, एनीवन? If there are no questions, either everything is clear or you're not paying attention. So I hope former is correct in this case. Is clear to everyone. Okay. It will make more sense when we actually prepare the balance sheet. So I'll move to the question. So here is the question. I've just taken this part of the P&L account here because we'll be needing net profit when we are preparing the balance sheet. कि जो भी लॉन्ग टर्म वाले लाइबिलिटीज या एसेट्स हैं, फर्स्ट वील राइट देम एंड देन दी शॉर्ट टर्म. So let's start from the debit balances. First thing given is plant and machinery. So this is a fixed asset, long-term asset for the business. Plant and machinery 70,000. Then land and building. After that you have debtors. Okay, before that I'll write furniture and fixture because furniture again is a fixed asset, long-term asset, so 15,400, and then I write debtors. Bills receivable. Please don't use short forms when you are attempting the question. Write down the complete term. And then cash in hand is 750. Your bank balance is 22700. Okay. In the liability side, the first entry that comes is capital. Please pay attention. Capital is 1,55,000. तो कैपिटल में हम नेट प्रॉफिट ऐड करते हैं और नेट लॉस माइनस करते हैं. 67850 will be added, and then there was this one entry on the debit side. Drawings which I told you are deducted from the capital. So the amount is 9,000. So now you will get the final amount of capital in the balance sheet. इसके अलावा you have creditors and bills payable. To 13850. That is the amount of net capital you have at the year end. So now we will tally both the sides. So let's see what is the total coming to on the liability side and on the asset side. Liability side का total है 224,8850. 2,48,850. The one entry on the asset side is closing stock 10,000. Yes, thank you, Tanmay. So that I missed 10,000. So now the total is coming to 24,8850 on both these sides. So your total tallies, it means you have solved the question correctly.